episode of Haunt Talk. In today's episode, we are going to be telling you a tale, a grim tale. Well, that's the place we're reviewing. It's called
Grim
Trails, actually. And it's completely based on like actual grim fairy tales and some like myth and lore and like mythological creatures and stuff like that. This is the last one of our Kentucky excursion, and this is the only trail that we did. All the other ones were pretty traditionally like haunted house, like in pretty much almost all inside. For the most part, those ones were. But this one is completely different than that, and it is a trail out in the middle of a park. I guess if you're going there, also make sure, if you went there before, they've changed locations, I guess. I don't know how recently, but on the website it like says multiple times, like, we're not at the old location, we're at this location now. So I guess if you've been going, just make sure you're going to the right place. But this is the first time we've ever been there, so I don't know where they were before. But, before we get into the review, make sure you're liking, subscribing to the channel, doing all that good stuff. Make sure you're checking out our merch store so you can get a cool t-shirt or a cool hoodie or a mug or a sticker or whatever other crap you want to throw our logo on. It's probably there. Make sure you're checking out our Patreon. We're a small channel. It helps us out a lot. That being said, let's get into the review, which as always means it's time to refer to the Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Alright, so as always, it is time to talk about sets and props. And I guess we'll talk a little bit about, I want to talk about the queue line. This was like the weirdest queue line. It's in a bunch of strings, like, in the trees, and it was really hard to tell like what was going on. Like, it was one of the weirdestly longest queue lines.
It was really ridiculous. Like, I want to see this thing full. Like,
well, he said last year they had like a 4-hour line, and I could see it because again, all these Kentucky haunts, they leave space between you and your groups.
Yeah.
This one not as much as the other, because we did get caught up with people, which we'll talk about later. But yeah. It's back in the woods, and like it's kind of like in a creepy location. It's nice and cool and dense woods back there. Mm-hmm. It is nice having a trail that actually feels like it's in the woods.
Yes.
And that was something that I did like about it. None of the terrain was too awful, which is also nice. Nothing too hilly, mainly flat, but there's a couple times which kind of adds to it where you're kind of like, am I on the right path? Am I in, like, yeah, you more than likely are.
Yeah, there was a few times, so I was leading the way, and I'm like, I think I'm going the right way. I hope. Yeah. I mean, they had like lights kind of going like where you're supposed to go, but like sometimes it was really hard because it was really like thin. So I'm like, well, I hope this is right. I hope I'm not just like stomping through, the middle of a set. I don't know, but it was interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, again, the theme is all about like fairy tales and stuff like that. So the very first, like, you go into like a little shack and someone kind of gives you like, the normal, don't touch the actors, they won't touch you, all that kind of stuff, and then you leave that and you go into a pretty cool like little graveyard scene. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know, you go into something, it's like a little house after that. There was a cool tortoise in the hare scene, which was mainly based on the actors there, so we'll get more into that in a minute, but it was cool. That was like the first fairy tale that we instantly recognized.
Yeah, it took me a minute because like we were kind of just, at first we were introduced to one of them, and then I'm like,
yeah, and I don't know if it was like a finish line or what, but yeah.
Yeah, like I think that's what it was. And then the other one came up. I think he might have been like going after the people that came before us.
Not sure, but yeah.
But then it clicked, and I'm like, oh, it's Tortoise and the Hare. Okay. Because it at first I wasn't sure. I thought maybe it was like Alice in Wonderland because it was like, a rabbit and stuff like that.
I don't think Alice in Wonderland was in there. I don't know if is that a grim fairy tale, Alice in Wonderland?
No, but okay. I mean, I think they were kind of just going with fairy tales in general.
Yeah.
Because, not all of them are grim. Like, Peter Pan is not like a grim fairy tale.
Well, I don't know. I don't know the original one of that, but yeah. The next one we got to was like this. It was a really cool facade. It was like a big house like up on this little hill, and you had to walk up these stairs to get into it. What long-ass ridiculous name did you say this fairy tale was?
I think it was Georgie Pudding and Pie.
I don't even know. I've never once heard that in my life.
Kissed the girls and made them cry.
But yeah, there was like a little elf-looking dude, I don't know, and he was at the top of the staircase, and he was saying something.
Well, he kept calling us George, and he said, George, you're back. It's so glad to see you. And I kind of think that's what it was. I don't know.
I don't know. There was like a prop that flew out. There's like a staircase and a prop that like flew out at you. I would say that the inside of the house was a little underwhelming. It looked very basic inside for this really cool facade. So I'm hoping that in future years they make like the inside look more like a house and not just plain white walls. But
it needed some set dressing for sure.
After that, probably the coolest set was like the Peter Pan area was like a big pirate ship that you walked through and stuff like that, because it looked like there was the pirate ship, and then you walked into the pirate ship, which was cool, across like a dock. There was a pretty cool Hansel and Gretel scene. There's like candy and stuff, and it was like it looked like a house, like I don't know if it was supposed to be made of gingerbread.
Yeah, it was the gingerbread house that the witch lived in, and there was candy on it and like other sweets and stuff and cookies and stuff like that.
So that was cool. There was a Red Riding Hood thing, but that was mainly there was a scene, because there was a scene where it looked like the grandma had been like all murdered and stuff in the bed.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with the original story of Little Red Riding Hood, the huntsman isn't very kind with the wolf and getting the grandma out. So it looked like that in that room. So, and then next there was a really cool laser swamp inside one of the buildings that actually had a vibrating floor.
Yeah, so you couldn't see the floor at all, and then when you're on it, all of a sudden the floor starts vibrating.
I've never had that before. It was so weird.
Yeah, so I think like we were waiting for like an actor to pop up like normal, and instead the whole floor started shaking violently. So that was pretty jarring. This also had that cool Wendigo prop that I like a lot, the one that's kind of moving around holding the lantern. That was cool. There was like there was the Medusa section. So yeah, this was that haunt. So there was like a dilapidated Colosseum that you walk through. That was pretty neat, with lots of fog and stuff like that. There was like, I think it was like a cave system or something we were in, but it was cool because there was like a section of the wall dropped down from above us, and a huge dragon head came out, like blowing smoke everywhere. That was really neat.
Yeah, and then a little bit later we went in, and there was a huge dragon.
Yeah.
Inside this room, which unfortunately I don't know if it was just not lit right.
Yeah, I don't know if something wasn't working, but he was really hard to see. Like, it looked like a light should have turned on when he because it was a huge dragon, the whole thing swung over at us, but like it was so dark in there.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if there was supposed to be a light that came on when he came out. But yeah, it kind of didn't sell the effect very well. But the prop was super cool. You just couldn't see it much at all because of how dark it was.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we kind of missed this scene play out with this one, but they had like a whole Sleepy Hollow area that was really cool.
Which was cool because you're walking through the forest, there's a bunch of like carved jack-o'-lanterns all over the place, and then you go on the bridge, but then there was like a scene with like, what was an actress scene where it looked like her head was supposed to be cut off, but like we came after because we caught up with some teenagers towards the end, and so they saw the scene and we didn't get to see it. But overall, the sets and props are pretty good. There was a lot back there. This was definitely the longest haunt we went to, which we'll talk about in value. But sets and props we thought were pretty good. Just some stuff needed a little bit better lighting, a little TLC, a little more detail and stuff. It wasn't too much dead space, a little bit, not a crazy amount. Because sometimes it's fun just to have the ambiance of being in the woods.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sets and props, we gave it an 8.5.
So, moving on to actors. First line just says, Bunny, Dude, and Turtle.
Yeah.
So, like we said, the first thing that we came across, besides the graveyard, was the tortoise and the hare. And so this, like, rabbit guy comes leaping down at us. Like, he's like all hunched and folded over, like on this little thing, and he keeps making all these weird ass fucking noises.
Yeah, he was like making these really, really loud noises in my ear, like these like I think it was supposed to be like, well, because bunnies make those screaming noises. They make those screaming noises. And that's like what he was doing. What he was doing. Like the murder bunny in the wood noise, and it was just horrible.
Yeah. And so he would just like stand in front of us, and he would just make these noises and just, be all like, it was like a tweaking bunny. He was just all over. And then a little bit later, the turtle came over, and he actually kind of looked like a Ninja Turtle.
I'm pretty sure it was a Ninja Turtle costume. that they like removed like the band off, like the headband or something off of.
Yeah.
I'm pretty positive it was a Ninja Turtle costume.
It was weird.
Because as soon as I saw him, because I didn't recognize it instantly as tortoise in the hair, I'm like, oh, why is there's eyes there a Ninja Turtle here? And then Kim's like, oh, it's tortoise in the hair. And I'm like, okay, well that makes more sense than there being a Ninja Turtle. But
and then the kid that was inside the house, the Porgy house or whatever. I think he was actually dressed in like a military or something.
I don't know. I thought it was an elf suit. I'm not sure. One thing that was cool though is like, because when you walk in, he's like up on the top of like these stairs thing, and then when you walk under him, there's a hole in the floor where he like reaches down and grabs at you.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was cool.
Then after that is when you go into the Peter Pan thing, and they have Captain Hook outside, basically talk about how awful Peter Pan is, and that like he like is like murdering the adults or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing about like the dark side of Peter Pan is that the reason that the Lost Boys are all children is because he kills them if they reach a certain age, and that's why they never age. Is because he's killing them, and then he just goes and recruits more Lost Boys or kidnaps children to become Lost Boys.
It's fun.
Yeah.
But there's a pirate inside the ship, and they were jumping all over the place inside the ship, which was really cool. For the Red Riding Hood, it was kind of fun because like right after you leave the house for the Red Riding Hood scene, Red Riding Hood's out there with her axe. And she doesn't really do much to scare you. She just like walks creepily down this like long like concrete like pathway with you, just standing the whole time just looking at you. And it's kind of like, well, what is she going to do anything? I expect her to swing the axe. Well, all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, this giant, I think it was supposed to be was it the wolf?
I think it was supposed to be a giant wolf.
Like all of a sudden, this giant person on stilts just comes running out of this field at you, and I thought he was going to just run us over. He didn't.
I really did.
Scared the crap out of us though, because it really worked effectively. Because it's just like this long drawn out section. She's just dragging this metal axe and just staring at you. Just the sound of it scraping against the ground, and then he just came running out. So that was a really cool, effective scare.
Yeah. There was the Wendigo scene, and there was actually a big. Still
like someone dressed as a Wendigo.
Yeah, as a Wendigo that came out.
Yeah, he had like the long arms that touched the ground almost like an ape, and was like chasing us around with it. He was creepy.
Cool. He kept getting in our way. They did have a lot of really cool hiding spots in this throughout this, and because there were some structures, and then of course there was the woods. There was corn stalks and things like that, things for them to like hide in and stuff like that. There was a guy in a bungee, which I didn't get to actually see. It happened.
It was really dark. He needed to be like something needed to happen when he jumped out, like a light needed to turn on for him or something.
Yeah.
Because I saw him at the corner of my eye, and I'm like, oh, there's a guy in a bungee.
There was a pig guy. I think it was supposed to be like the three little pigs, but I think
because there's like a giant like pig cart outside.
Yeah.
But it wasn't lit up, so it's hard to see what was going on.
Yeah. Again, they needed to like, I don't know if maybe it was just because it was out in the middle of the woods and it was kind of hard to like get lighting out there, but they definitely needed to get like a little bit more light.
Yeah, there's a couple things that were really cool that just you couldn't see.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I don't know. Yeah, hopefully they kind of fix that, because I mean, they definitely have electricity, obviously, back there, because there were a lot of lights and things going on, but there just were some spots where it seemed like there was supposed to be a light or something that happened that didn't. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really sure what was going on there.
The Hansel and Gretel scene was really cool, because Gretel kind of like, wanted our help and stuff like that, and so she kind of gets us into the building, and then there was a nice big scare in there by the witch, which was really cool. There was a girl that I'm not really sure what this area was supposed to be, but she looked like she was kind of dressed like a pilgrim or something, because she had like little braids in her hair and stuff like that, but she screamed at us, and it was the most like intense scream. It wasn't your typical like I don't know what to do like in a haunted house scream. It was emotional. It was like it was a scream. It was very loud and piercing. There was some dead space in here, like we said. The atmosphere of the actual woods was like pretty cool, but there was a lot of like dead space. Like they needed just a little.
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah, well, it was a pretty long attraction. Yeah, so there was a bit of meandering space. Like, the whole graveyard scene was really cool, but there wasn't anyone in the graveyard, though, that tried to scare us. But and there was a few different parts that were like that. But still, for the most part, the ones that were there we really liked. And they weren't, like, severely understaffed or anything. Just a couple more here and there, or just cutting out some of the fat, just in general.
Yeah. Could
have helped a little bit with pacing. But we still really liked the actors that were there, and a lot of the costuming. It's just nice to see something a little more unique, doing, like, the whole fairy tale thing.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been to one that's focused, like, primarily on this.
Yeah. When we were looking into different haunts to do in this area, this one popped up, and I'm like, oh, I wonder, because their logo actually has the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz, and I'm like, I wonder if this is like a fairy tale themed one. And sure enough, it was.
It is, yeah.
Which I think is just great. I love when I see that in haunted houses, and I just think it's a great theme. So I was excited about
There's also a
this
cool
one.
belly dancer at the end of the queue line. That was kind of cool. Not really an actor, but she was like just a cool performer.
Like an entertainer. Just
But yeah, for actors, we liked them. We gave them an 8.5.
Yeah. So for scare factor, this one, they didn't touch you here.
Yeah.
They did get close, but they didn't touch.
This is definitely the least scary of the ones we did in Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, there still were some good moments, but the other ones, like, a lot of them are panic-inducing, where this one definitely is more of a, like, you could take your family here and they wouldn't be, like, that messed up by it or anything.
Like we said, there was some dead space that needed a little bit more people in it. It wasn't overly gory. There was a few scenes.
Yeah, a few scenes.
But nothing
crazy.
Too awful. So for scare factor, we gave them a 7.75.
Yeah, because it's still some good jump scares and stuff like that, and some disorientation here and there, but nothing wild though.
Yeah. Okay. So for value, it was $25 general admission, like most of these haunts were in this area. $35 for a fast pass.
And now I know that when I was there was something on the thing for the front of the line pass, but I don't see it on the website, so I don't know what the price was, but I'm almost positive I saw it on the, like, ticket window. I'm thinking it was, like, I thought it said 60, but that would be a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
But we always rate value off of the general admission price anyways. That's the only price you have to pay.
Yeah.
It took us 26 minutes for this one, and there is a $2 coupon you can find. I think we found ours also from the Devil's Attic for this one.
Yeah.
So this is by far, like, the best value as far as time the money goes. Because all the other ones were 20 or 25 for 10 to 15 minutes. This one was 25 for 26 minutes, so, like, almost double the length of the other haunts.
Right.
So for value, we gave this a 9.5. I think for $25 for as much as you get, I think that it's good value.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So for an overall score, we gave them an 8.5.
Yep. So this one's a lot of fun, especially if you have some younger people or people that just aren't, like, sure if they want the haunted house. Because also, like, it's mainly a trail. There are some inside portions, but trails just by default, like haunted hay rides, aren't quite as bad as haunted houses because it's not as claustrophobic or as confined.
Yeah.
But yeah, really nice location. So especially if there's, like, a crisp fall night, I think it's just a lot of fun. But yeah, have you been there? What did you think about it? Let us know. Also, make sure you're liking, subscribing, and ringing that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.